about the most insecure person you know? Not the most dramatic, not the most visibly broken, just the person who shrinks in rooms where they should stand tall. Who apologizes before they have done anything wrong? Who cannot receive a compliment without deflecting it? Who needs constant reassurance in relationships? Who works twice as hard as everyone else, but never quite believes they are enough? That person was not born that way. They were built that way. Slowly, quietly, through 10 ordinary habits that happened inside an ordinary home, by parents who loved them completely and had no idea what they were doing. This is not a video about bad parents. There are no bad parents in this video. Every single habit on this list comes from love, from exhaustion, from the best intentions a human being can have. But love alone does not determine outcome. Pattern determines outcome. And some of the most loving patterns quietly build the most fragile foundations. Because here is what child psychology and attachment research consistently show. Insecurity in children is almost never caused by dramatic events. It is not built by the big failures or the obvious mistakes. It is built in the small, repeated, everyday moments that no one ever notices. The moments that feel completely normal. The moments that feel like good parenting. Those are the moments we need to look at. So before we begin, one thing needs to be said clearly. If you recognize yourself in this list, that recognition is not an accusation. It is an invitation. Because a parent who can see these patterns has already done the hardest thing. And changing them does not require perfection. It requires only awareness, repeated in small moments over time. Here are 10 everyday habits that are quietly building insecurity in children and what to do instead. Habit 1. Solving their problems before they get a chance to try. Your child is struggling with their shoes. The laces are tangled. Their fingers are fumbling. You watch for approximately 4 seconds, and then you reach over and fix it because you love them. Because you are running late. Because watching them struggle feels uncomfortable in a way that is hard to explain. This is the most common habit on this list, and it is also the most invisible because it looks exactly like helping. But here's what happens inside a child's brain in that moment. The problem was there. The parent solved it. The child's brain did not record love. It recorded something far more significant. I needed rescuing. Again. Repeated hundreds of times across thousands of ordinary moments, that recording becomes a belief. I am not someone who can handle things. I need someone else to manage what life brings me. That belief is the foundation of insecurity. Not fragility. Not weakness. Just a child who never got enough evidence that they were capable. The adjustment is not to stop helping. It is to pause before helping. Count to 10 silently. Let them try. Let them struggle for just a moment longer than feels comfortable. And when they look up for help, ask first, what do you think we could try? That question alone begins to build something 100 rescues never could. Habit 2. Comparing them to other children even positively. Why can't you be more like your brother? Your friend managed it without crying. Even the gentler version, your cousin, is so confident. I wish you were more like that. Carries invisible damage the parent never intended to deliver. Comparison-based feedback teaches children to evaluate their worth relationally. Not am I enough, but am I enough compared to someone else? And that question has no stable answer. There will always be someone more confident, more capable, more composed. A child who learns to measure themselves against others inherits a measuring stick that will humiliate them for the rest of their life. The adjustment is to make your child their own comparison point. Instead of measuring them against others, measure them against themselves. You handled that so much better than you did last month. Look how far you have come since you first tried this. That comparison has a stable answer, and the answer is always growth. Habit 3. Dismissing small fears as irrational or overblown. It is dark. There is nothing there. You are being silly. Stop crying. It is just a dog. These responses come from a reasonable place. The parent knows the fear is disproportionate. They want to correct it logically, move past it efficiently, get on with the day. But something specific happens when a child's fear is dismissed repeatedly. They do not learn that the fear was irrational. They learn that their inner experience is not trustworthy, that what they feel inside does not match what the people they love most tell them is real. And a child who cannot trust their own inner experience cannot build a stable sense of self. Because the self is built from the inside out, the adjustment is 2 words before any explanation. I see. I see. That feels really scary to you. That acknowledgement does not validate the fear as rational. It validates the child as real. And a child who feels real inside their own experience becomes a child who trusts themselves. That trust is the opposite of insecurity. Habit 4. Praising intelligence or talent instead of effort and process. You are so smart. You are so talented. You are a natural. These are among the most loving things a parent can say. And they are also among the most quietly damaging. When a child's identity is built on being smart, smart becomes something to protect rather than something to use. Because if they are smart and they fail, they are no longer smart. If talent is what makes them worthy, then anything that challenges their talent threatens their worth. So they begin to avoid the challenges that might reveal the limits of what they were told they are. This is not a theory. Carol Dweck's research showed it repeatedly. Praise the intelligence, and the child plays it safe. Praise the effort, and the child runs toward difficulty. Same child, different words. Completely different relationship with challenge for the rest of their life. The adjustment is already in your hands. Name what they did rather than what they are. You worked so hard on that. You kept trying even when it got difficult. You found a way through. These phrases build a self-concept that challenge makes stronger rather than more fragile. Habit 5. Reacting to their emotions with visible anxiety or distress. Your child falls and begins to cry. You rush over, face tight with alarm, voice high with worry, hands moving frantically. Or your child tells you they are scared and you feel your own anxiety spike visibly. They can see it in your face before you say a single word. Your distress, at their distress, teaches them something they were never meant to learn. My feelings are dangerous. When I feel something strongly, the person I depend on for safety becomes frightened. My emotions are not just mine to carry, they are a threat to the people I love. So they begin to suppress, not because they feel better, but because expressing feels unsafe. Now, pause here for a moment, because the next 5 habits are the ones most parents never see coming. They are the habits that look the most like good parenting, the most like love, the most like protection, and they are the ones that go deepest. Habit 6. Being inconsistent with boundaries and emotional responses. Yes today, no tomorrow for the same behavior. Warm and playful on Monday, irritable and withdrawn on Wednesday with no explanation the child can understand. Firm about the rule until you are tired enough to let it go. No parent is consistent all the time. That is not the standard. But when inconsistency is the pattern rather than the exception, the child's nervous system cannot find a stable baseline to regulate around. A child in an inconsistent emotional environment does not think my parent is having a hard day. They think I cannot read this situation. I cannot predict what is coming. I cannot trust that what worked yesterday will work today. That hypervigilance, the constant scanning for what the environment will bring, is insecurity made neurological. It moves with the child into every relationship they will ever have. The adjustment is not perfection. It is explanation. When you are different today, say so. I am tired today and I am not at my best. That has nothing to do with you. That single sentence gives the child what inconsistency takes away. A stable explanation that locates the change in the parent rather than in themselves. Habit 7. Overprotecting them from normal social discomfort. Another child is unkind. You step in immediately. Social dynamics become uncomfortable at a birthday party. You smooth it over before your child has to navigate it. A friendship becomes complicated. You call the other parent. Every one of these interventions feels like protection. Every one of them quietly communicates the same thing. The social world is too dangerous for you to handle alone. You need me to navigate it for you. Social confidence is not taught. It is built through social struggle. The minor conflicts navigated. The misunderstandings recovered from. The rejections endured and survived. When parents remove these experiences to protect their child from discomfort, they remove the exact raw material from which social confidence is constructed. The adjustment is to stay close without stepping in. Be present, be available. But let the struggle happen first. Ask afterward, how did that feel? What did you try? What might you do differently? Your presence without intervention is the most confidence-building gift you can give. Habit 8. Expressing worry about them in front of them. I just worry about you. I am not sure you can handle this. I hope you will be okay. I do not know if you are ready for that. These are expressions of love. Every parent who has said them meant them as love. But to the child's developing self-concept, they function as something entirely different. They function as data. The person who knows me best is worried about me. That worry must be justified. Perhaps I am someone to be worried about. Perhaps I am less capable than other children. Perhaps the world is more dangerous for me than for others. A parent's expressed worry becomes a child's self-image, not because the parent was wrong to feel it, but because the child was present when the feeling was spoken. The adjustment is to separate the feeling from the expression. Feel the worry privately. Speak the confidence publicly. In front of your child, say what you want them to believe about themselves. I know this feels hard, and I know you can figure it out. That sentence is not a lie. It is a deposit into the self-concept they are building from everything you say about them. Habit 9. Conditional warmth. Being most loving when the child is easy. No parent does this intentionally, but most parents do it. The child who is happy, compliant, and low maintenance receives more warmth, more smiles, more engaged conversation, more relaxed and present interaction. The child who is demanding, emotional, or difficult receives less not as punishment, but as the natural result of a depleted parent who has less to give when they are being asked for more. The child registers this pattern without being able to name it. Love feels closer when I am easy. Love feels further away when I am difficult. The difficult parts of me, the emotional parts, the scared parts, the demanding parts, are the parts that push love away. So they hide those parts. They become easy. They become pleasant. They become the version of themselves that keeps love close. And the hidden parts do not disappear. They go underground. And they resurface in every relationship the child will ever have as the persistent belief that they must earn love by being palatable. The adjustment is to move toward your child specifically during their difficult moments. When they are hardest to love, choose to be closest. Not to reward the behavior, but to teach the child that all of their parts are welcome. That lesson, you do not have to be easy to be loved, is the single most powerful antidote to insecurity a parent can offer. Habit 10. Never letting them see you struggle, fail, or ask for help. You handle everything. You do not show difficulty. You do not ask for help in front of them. You want them to feel safe. You want them to see strength. You want to protect them from worry. So you present only the capable, composed, self-sufficient version of yourself, and you keep everything else private. This is the habit that looks most like good parenting. And it is the one that goes deepest. Because your child is building their model of what a capable human being looks like by watching you. And the model you are showing them is a person who never struggles, never fails, never needs help, never shows difficulty. And then they struggle, and they fail, and they need help, and they cannot show it. Because the person who was supposed to show them that capable people struggle too never did. The adjustment is not to burden your child with adult problems. It is to let them see the small human moments, the puzzle you cannot solve, the frustration you feel and manage, the moment you say, I am not sure how to do this, let me ask someone. These small moments of visible imperfection give your child something 1,000 displays of competence never can. They give them permission to be human. Here is what insecurity actually is. It is not a personality trait. It is not a fixed characteristic. It is a collection of learned beliefs about worth, about safety, about what love requires, built slowly, through repeated small experiences inside the home. And here is what that means. What was learned can be unlearned. What was built through pattern can be rebuilt through a different pattern. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually in the same small repeated moments that built the original pattern, a different foundation can be laid. The child who grows up with that different foundation does not become perfect. They become something far more valuable. They become a person who knows their worth does not depend on being easy, being perfect, or being without struggle. A person who can sit with difficulty without collapsing, who can ask for help without shame, who can fail without it, meaning something permanent about who they are. That child becomes an adult who does not shrink in rooms where they should stand tall. And it begins here, in the ordinary moments, in the small adjustments, in the parent who saw the pattern and chose one moment at a time to build something different. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 habits did you recognize most in your own daily life? And which one are you committing to change starting today? Tell me in the comments. And if you grew up with some of these habits yourself, if you recognized your own childhood somewhere in this list, I want to hear from you too. Because understanding where your patterns came from is the first step to changing them. And you deserve that understanding just as much as your child does. If this video gave you something real, share it with another parent today. And subscribe to My Home Daily for more psychology-backed parenting insights that help you build children who are genuinely secure, confident, and emotionally strong from the inside out.